If you have ever handed your trust to someone you love and watched them turn it into a weapon, this will make sense. My name is Frank Delaney, 73 years old, American, widower, retired union electrician from Indianapolis. For 46 years I worked with my hands, ran conduit through concrete, pulled wire through crawl spaces, and fixed what other people broke. I built a life where problems had causes you could find and solutions you could measure. Then the modern world arrived, the one that lives inside glass screens and passwords, the one where a mistake can empty your life without leaving fingerprints. The day my grandson helped me set up my phone was the day my life began to vanish in quiet pieces. It started with grief, like most bad stories do. My wife, Carol, died in late February. Pneumonia that turned hard in a single week. One Monday, she was arguing with me about the grocery list. By Friday, she was gone. After the funeral, the house felt like a stage after the actors leave, props still in place, air still smelling like perfume that no longer exists. My daughter, Lisa, lived 40 minutes away in a newer neighborhood outside Columbus. Her husband, Neil, sold equipment for a trucking company. They had 2 kids. My granddaughter, Maddie, was 16 and lived in headphones. My grandson, Tyler, was 19 and lived in his phone. Lisa insisted I move in for a while. A while became the word that covered everything. A while until I felt better. A while until I figured out the house. A while until the loneliness loosened its grip. Carol and I owned our place outright. A modest 2-bedroom ranch with a garage and a backyard where the grass grew too fast. I could have stayed there. I could have hired someone to do the mowing. I could have learned to cook more than 3 things without burning them. But Lisa's voice carried fear that sounded like love, a fragile kind. A love that needs you nearby so it can see you breathing. I packed a suitcase and a toolbox. I let me know myself I would stay 2 months. The guest room in Lisa's house had a bed with a soft headboard and a lamp that dimmed with a touch. It looked like a hotel room. Clean, quiet, impersonal. The closet held extra blankets and Christmas decorations. Tyler helped carry my suitcase upstairs. He had a wiry frame and an easy grin. His hair was always a little messy, like he had just rolled out of a nap. He called everyone man, including his own mother. Dinner that first night felt normal enough. Neil talked about work. Lisa talked about school schedules. Maddie scrolled. Tyler joked. I tried to laugh when laughter felt like a borrowed shirt that didn't fit. After dinner, Tyler noticed my flip phone on the counter. Black plastic, big buttons, nothing to break. That relic still works? It calls, that's all it needs to do. He grinned. Grandpa, you're getting scammed by your own phone plan. You're paying too much. Let me hook you up with a real phone. You'll love it. I didn't want a new phone. I didn't need one. I needed quiet and a chair by a window, not a glowing rectangle that wanted my attention. Lisa leaned in. Dad, it might be good. The doctor's office keeps texting you and you never see it. And the bank keeps trying to send security codes. It's a hassle. A hassle. That word again. Another cover. A soft blanket over hard control. Tyler offered to drive me to a store the next day. He made it sound like a fun errand, like bonding. The next day we walked into a bright electronics store, and I left with a smartphone and a plan that Tyler insisted was easy. Back at the house, he sat me at the kitchen island like I was a customer at a help desk. Step 1, email. Step 2, banking app. Step 3, security. Step 4, a crypto tracker because, in his words, everyone should know what their money is doing. My chest tightened at the word crypto, because I did have crypto. Not a huge amount, nothing to brag about. Years earlier, a guy at the Union Hall wouldn't stop talking about Bitcoin. I was skeptical, but curiosity got me. I bought a little, forgot about it, and moved on. Later, when the price jumped, I added a bit more and put it away. Not because I believed in magic internet money, because I believed in the idea of holding something outside the system, something that couldn't be frozen by a bank or swallowed by fees. It became a weird private hobby, like collecting coins. I kept it separate. I kept it quiet. Carol knew, Lisa didn't, Neil didn't, Tyler definitely didn't, or at least I thought he didn't. Tyler's fingers moved fast on the screen. He set up my email, added contacts, installed apps, typed passwords I couldn't even see. The process felt like watching someone rewire your house while you stood in the hallway without a ladder. Every now and then, he slid the phone toward me. Type this code. A text would arrive. 6 numbers. My thumb would press them in. Then he would take the phone back. The bank app wanted to know for permissions. Tyler clicked allow. The email wanted to know for backups. Tyler clicked yes. The phone wanted to know to store passwords. Tyler clicked save. The screen wanted to know about cloud syncing. Tyler clicked enable. After 20 minutes, he leaned back with a proud smile. Boom, you're upgraded. He handed me the phone like he was giving me a gift, like this was something good. Lisa hugged him. You're amazing. Tyler shrugged. Just trying to protect Grandpa from the internet. Protect. That word is a knife when someone holds it the wrong way. That evening, I sat in the guest room and tried to use the phone. My fingers felt thick. The icons looked like small, bright lies. Everything wanted a password. Everything wanted permission. Everything wanted to know where I was. Tyler had written some passwords in a note app, so I wouldn't forget. He let me know not to worry. Not worrying became the problem. The first weird thing happened 3 days later. A bank alert popped up. A login attempt, new device. It vanished before I could read it fully. I thought it was my own mistake. Fat thumbs, wrong button, modern life. The second weird thing happened a week after that. My email inbox looked different. Older messages missing. A folder called Archive suddenly packed with things I didn't remember moving. When I wanted to know Tyler to look, he laughed lightly and waved a hand like he was swatting a fly. Old man brain plus tech happens. Let me fix it. He took my phone, tapped a few things, and handed it back. Everything looked normal again. 2 days later, my debit card stopped working at a grocery store, declined. The machine made that loud, polite beep that turns your face hot. I paid cash. I drove home with my stomach tight. At home, Lisa looked at the bank app and frowned. A security hold. Suspicious activity. A new transfer request that triggered a freeze. Tyler leaned over her shoulder. Probably a glitch. The bank always freaks out. Lisa looked at me. Dad, did you try to transfer money or something? No. Neil was at work. Maddie didn't look up from her screen. Tyler walked me through a phone call with the bank. Voice menus, pins, security questions. The bank lifted the hold. The woman on the phone sounded tired and careful. Mentioned repeated password resets. Mentioned a request to change my contact email. My throat went dry. That request hadn't been mine. Tyler took the phone from my hand and tapped the screen, then handed it back. Fixed. A soft smile, a relaxed posture, a kid acting helpful. Inside my chest, something moved. A faint alarm bell, quiet but clear. I spent my career believing tools are neutral. A wrench can tighten a bolt or smash a window. The intent matters. A smartphone is just a tool, but it had been placed in my life by someone else's hands. Within another week, my mail began arriving already opened. not all of it. Just the sensitive stuff. Bank letters, pharmacy statements, insurance notices. Lisa blamed the kids, Maddie blamed the mailman. Tyler offered a quick joke. Neil didn't look up from his laptop. Then the thermostat started dropping at night. 65, 64, 63. The guest room became a cold box. Lisa apologized and blamed the smart thermostat. Tyler offered to reset it, protect Grandpa from the internet, protect Grandpa from his own house. One morning, a letter arrived from my credit union. I picked it up before anyone else could. I held it like it was a fragile animal. The envelope felt too light. Inside was a notice about a new linked external account. I stared at the paper until the ink blurred. Linked account. External. That was a bridge. That was a hose. That was a way to siphon money without leaving obvious prints. I opened my phone, went into the banking app, and tried to find the linked account details. A password prompt appeared. Not my usual one, a different one. I tried the password Tyler had typed into the note app for me. Wrong. I tried another. Wrong. A lockout warning appeared. My hands began to shake. Not old age, not nerves, rage, fear, recognition. A house built on trust becomes a trap when the locks change without your consent. That night, sleep didn't happen. I lay in bed, listening to the hum of the house. HVAC cycling. The distant click of someone's phone. Footsteps in the hallway at midnight. A soft door closing. My mind ran through possibilities, the way it did at the mill when a machine began making the wrong sound. Random glitch, bank error, bad luck. Or something else. The something else had a face with a grin and fast fingers. The next day, I took my car keys and drove to my credit union alone. I didn't announce the trip. I didn't mention it at breakfast. I took my coat and left like I was going for a normal errand. At the credit union, I wanted to know for a private room and spoke to a security officer, not a teller. A simple request and a quiet insistence. Years in union meetings had taught me tone matters more than volume. The officer's name was Elena, mid-30s, calm eyes. She listened without interrupting while I described the alerts, the lockouts, the linked account notice, the odd password resets. Elena typed quietly, then looked up. Multiple password resets. Multiple device registrations. A recent attempt to change the two-factor contact number. A pending outbound transfer that had been blocked by the fraud team. My body went cold. Is it my account doing this? Elena's expression stayed neutral. The system shows actions. The system doesn't show intent. That was careful language. The kind used when someone knows the truth but cannot accuse without proof. I requested immediate changes. New password, created with me watching. Not stored, not shared. Two-factor switched to a secure method that didn't rely on family devices. Alerts turned on for everything. Logins, password changes, transfers, linked accounts, profile edits. A note placed on the account. In-person verification required for major changes. Elena offered one more step. A new account number, transferring funds over, leaving the old profile dormant. A clean break. I agreed. She wanted to know about my email, about recovery options, about authorized users. I removed everyone. There were no authorized users before, and there would be none now. Then Elena wanted to know another question, gentle and precise. Does anyone have access to your phone? A long pause, a long exhale. Yes. Elena nodded as if she had expected that answer. A clean phone is important. The safest approach involves treating the current phone as unsafe. Unsafe. The unsafe phone idea felt insulting at first, like being informed my front door was fake after decades of locking it the same way. Pride is a strange thing in old age. It makes you cling to routines even when the world changes the rules. That pride nearly cost me everything. 2 nights after the credit union visit, the smartphone buzzed on my nightstand, screen lighting the room with a pale glow. A notification from a crypto app Tyler had installed, one I barely understood. A portfolio update with green arrows and percentages. The numbers didn't mean much, the timing did. My crypto had been sitting still for years, not moving, not changing hands. A portfolio update at midnight felt like someone checking a safe. I opened the app. A login prompt appeared with a masked email I didn't recognize, half hidden behind dots. That wasn't my email. My stomach clenched. The app wasn't tracking my holdings. It was tied to something else, a doorway I hadn't authorized. Downstairs, soft footsteps crossed the living room. The refrigerator opened. A can cracked. A low laugh drifted up the stairwell. Tyler watching something funny while my life sat on his screen. A wave of heat rose into my face. Not just anger, something sharper. Betrayal. Grief makes you slow. Betrayal makes you precise. The next morning, a small test began. I placed my phone face down on the kitchen counter and walked to the garage for 10 minutes, leaving the room empty. When I returned, the phone sat in the exact same place. Nothing obvious. A second test. The next day, I left the phone in my jacket pocket hanging by the door and went upstairs to change a light bulb, slow and deliberate. When I came back, the jacket sleeve looked slightly shifted. The phone's screen showed the home page, awake, like it had been touched recently. No proof, no fingerprints, just a pattern. A third test. I wrote down a fake password on a small note and tucked it beneath the phone case, visible if someone lifted the phone. It wasn't a real password, it was bait. That note disappeared within 24 hours. Tyler never mentioned it. Lisa never mentioned it. The note was simply gone. A tool in the wrong hands becomes an invisible pickpocket. A word that tastes like a dead battery and a locked door. I left the credit union with a folder of paperwork and a new debit card. I also left with an instruction printed on a small sheet. Do not use the current phone for banking until it is reset and secured. On the drive home, my hands stayed tight on the steering wheel. When I walked into the house, Tyler was on the couch, earbuds in, laughing at something on his screen. Lisa was in the kitchen chopping vegetables. Neil's car wasn't in the driveway. Tyler glanced up. "Where you go, Grandpa?" "Bank." His grin didn't change. "Everything good?" Everything good. That casual question. Like he was checking the weather. I nodded and walked upstairs with the folder tucked under my arm. That night, the house quieted. Everyone retreated into their screens. I sat in the guest room with my old laptop on my knees, the one I barely used but trusted more than a new phone. I connected to the Wi-Fi, opened a fresh email account, and searched for elder law attorneys in Columbus. A name stood out: Mariah Jensen, former prosecutor, specialized in financial exploitation cases. Clear writing, no flashy slogans. I sent a short message requesting a consultation. No family email, no shared phone. The next day, I used an Uber to meet her, pretending a medical appointment. Mariah's office smelled like coffee and paper. She listened carefully, eyes focused, taking notes without making me feel small. When I finished, she slid a document across the table. A checklist, bank security, phone security, mail security, legal safeguards, evidence gathering, personal safety, housing plan. One question stood at the center like a bolt holding everything together. Do you believe someone in the house is doing this? A breath, a pause. I believed the only person who touched that phone had the opportunity. Mariah nodded slowly. No shock, no disbelief, no lecture, just steps. A power of attorney prevention document. A guardianship preemptive statement. A letter establishing counsel. An emergency contact list. A notarized declaration of competence and intent, supported by independent medical evaluations. Mariah recommended a cognitive evaluation right away from an independent specialist of my choosing. Not a friendly doctor sent by family, not an intervention. The process took a week. I passed without issue, no dementia, no confusion, mild grief, mild insomnia. Normal for a man who had lost the center of his life. Mariah kept copies and prepared to use them if anyone tried to paint me as incompetent. Meanwhile, the house tightened around me. The thermostat dropped further. My room got colder. My mail began disappearing, then reappearing in odd places. My phone started losing signal randomly, like a connection getting tugged loose. One afternoon, Lisa placed a pill organizer on the counter and guided me through it like I was a child. Tyler stood nearby, watching, face relaxed, eyes sharp. The worst moment came on a Sunday night. I returned from a walk earlier than usual. The air outside had turned cold. The sky had that dull winter gray that makes everything look tired. The kitchen light was on, voices carried, not loud, not arguing, planning voices. Tyler's voice, Neil's voice, Lisa's voice, smaller, uncertain. I stopped in the hallway and listened. Words landed like nails. Another reset tonight, he won't notice. He went to the bank. That's a problem. Just keep him calm. The evaluation can happen this week. Guardianship first, then everything gets easier. Guardianship. The word hit my spine like a shock. Lisa's voice trembled. He's still my dad. Neil's voice held that flat tone of someone pushing a decision through. He's also sitting on assets, and he doesn't understand modern money. Tyler can manage it. Tyler's laugh came, light and cruel. I can manage it, easy, he trusts me. My stomach turned. The world narrowed into a thin tunnel. A moment of clarity arrived, cold and perfect. They weren't just stealing. They were preparing to lock the door behind the theft. I backed away quietly, moved up the stairs and returned to my room without making a sound. In the mirror above the dresser, my face looked older than 73. The skin under my eyes sagged. My jaw looked tired, but my eyes looked awake. A plan formed. Not a dramatic movie plan, a practical plan built out of 3 things: evidence, distance, and timing. First, evidence. Mariah's checklist had a section labeled documentation. I set up a small camera in my room. Not hidden in a spy way, hidden in a normal way. A cheap motion camera that looked like an air freshener on the shelf. It faced the door. It recorded when anyone entered. It stored video to a private account with a password only I knew. Second, distance. I rented a post office box. A simple step, a quiet step. My sensitive mail would go there. No more envelopes arriving on the kitchen counter like bait. Third, timing. The house wanted an evaluation. A doctor. A story that turned me into a helpless old man. That story needed an audience. I decided to give them one, on my terms. For the next 10 days I acted tired. I acted slow. I acted like grief had thickened my thoughts. I missed a word in a sentence on purpose. I wanted to know where the bread was while standing beside the pantry. I stared at the blank television for longer than necessary. Lisa's eyes filled with worry. Neil's shoulders loosened, confident. Tyler's grin sharpened. The house believed the narrative it wanted. During those 10 days, I rebuilt my real security in the background. A second phone. A basic one. Not flashy, new number. Stored in my glove compartment, not in the house. Used only for the bank and for Mariah. A clean email account, accessed only from my laptop and from the credit union's secure kiosk. A new hardware wallet for my crypto, set up away from home, with Mariah present as witness. The old wallet stayed in a locked metal box at the credit union, the kind you store valuables in, not the kind you keep in a sock drawer. A decoy existed too. Not a trap to teach criminals how to steal, not a tutorial. A decoy to reveal intent. A small amount of funds, trackable, sitting in an account designed to set off alerts if accessed. The week before, the home visit became a quiet war. Tyler began hovering. Not close enough to look aggressive. Close enough to stay in range of my pockets, my phone, my mail. A casual comment over dinner about scams targeting seniors. Another casual comment about keeping things simple. Another casual comment about how hard it would be if I ever got confused and a judge had to step in for my own safety. Lisa's eyes would dart toward me after those lines, guilt flickering, then fading behind exhaustion. Neil became more abrupt, less patience, more sighs when I moved slowly, a constant background pressure to hand over control and call it help. One afternoon, Tyler dropped onto the couch beside me with my phone already in his hand. A new banking alert. Another weird thing. The same story again, a loop designed to wear me down until I accepted that only he could fix it. He held the phone out like a leash, a smile, the easy grin, a request for the passcode. My chest tightened. I looked at the glowing screen and thought of the linked account notice in my pocket. Thought of Elena's calm voice. Thought of Mariah's checklist with the word safety underlined twice. A slow headshake. A simple refusal. Tyler's grin twitched. The friendly mask slipped for a fraction of a second, showing impatience underneath. A thin laugh came. "Come on, Grandpa, don't be difficult." I kept my voice neutral. Bank in person, no phone. Tyler leaned back, eyes hard. "You don't trust me." Trust. Another knife word, a shrug. Trust doesn't require passwords. Tyler stood up and walked away without another word. The house felt colder after that, even with the thermostat unchanged. That night, my door handle rattled softly at 2:17 a.m. A test, a check, a search for the easy path. The motion camera recorded the hallway light spilling in and Tyler's silhouette pausing, then leaving. A small victory. A small confirmation. The next day, Lisa found my mailbox key on the counter and placed it back in a drawer with an awkward smile. A minor gesture. A sign that she knew what was happening. A sign that she wasn't stopping it. The word for that wasn't evil, the word was complicit. All of it documented, all of it time-stamped, all of it ready. The day of the evaluation arrived on a Thursday morning. A sticky note appeared on the fridge the night before. 10:30 a.m. Dr. Harmon, home visit. The note wasn't in my handwriting. Lisa avoided my eyes at breakfast. Neil was too cheerful. Tyler hummed while scrolling. My stomach remained calm. The calm of a man who already ran the wiring and knows where the breaker is. At 10:25, Mariah arrived, not sneaking, not hiding. A confident knock, a business card, a calm entrance. Neil opened the door and froze. Lisa's face went pale. Tyler's eyes widened, then narrowed. Mariah stepped in, coat neat, folder in hand. Counsel for Frank Delaney. The room changed instantly. Neil's smile fell away like a mask. Lisa's lips parted, then closed again. Tyler's posture stiffened. The doorbell rang again at 10:30. A man entered with a leather bag and a professional smile. Dr. Harmon, mid-50s, crisp haircut. a look that suggested he was used to being believed. His eyes scanned the room and landed on Mariah's folder. A pause. A recalibration. Mariah moved first, voice even and clear. Consent. Qualifications. Purpose of visit. Dr. Harmon's smile held for a second, then slipped. A careful tone replaced it. A polite attempt at control. This was only a check-in. Family concerns. Simple screening. Mariah opened her folder and placed 3 documents on the coffee table. Independent cognitive evaluation results. A notarized statement of my competence and intent. A formal notice. No medical assessment without direct consent and counsel present. Any attempt to falsify impairment would trigger legal action and immediate reports to the medical board. Dr. Harmon's eyes moved across the papers. His jaw tightened slightly. A small silence followed, heavy and revealing. Dr. Harmon closed his bag and backed a half-step, a man realizing the room had cameras he couldn't see. A quick exit followed, no conflict, no argument, just retreat. The door clicked shut. Then the real storm arrived. Neil's voice sharpened. "What is this?" Lisa's hands shook. "Dad, why?" Tyler's laugh came, thin. "Paranoid much?" Mariah didn't respond to Tyler. Her eyes stayed on Neil and Lisa. Adults, decision-makers, targets. A clear statement followed. A guardianship attempt had been planned without consent. Financial irregularities existed. Evidence had been collected. Banking safeguards were active. Further coercion would result in restraining orders and criminal referrals. The room went silent for 2 seconds. Then Tyler lunged for my phone on the side table. His fingers wrapped around it like it belonged to him. A sharp word from Mariah stopped him in place. Not loud, not dramatic. A legal word with weight. Evidence. Tyler froze, then slowly set the phone down, expression twisting. Lisa's eyes darted between us, panic rising. Neil's face darkened. We were trying to help. Help, that word again. My voice stayed calm. Help doesn't begin with stealing. Lisa flinched. Stealing? Mariah slid a printed report toward Lisa. Bank logs, alerts, timestamps, device registrations, contact number change attempts, linked account requests. Lisa's hands trembled as she read. Neil's eyes hardened. That could be anything. Mariah's next move was simple. A short video clip played on her tablet. Motion camera footage from my room. Tyler entering. Tyler searching drawers. Tyler holding my phone. Tyler leaving, shoulders relaxed. No audio, no instructions. Just the shape of truth. Lisa covered her mouth. Neil's stare locked on Tyler like a man watching his own reflection turn ugly. Tyler's grin evaporated. A defensive posture replaced it. Anger. Blame. The instinct to attack when cornered. It's nothing, just checking his stuff, he forgets. Mariah's voice stayed flat. Unauthorized access, patterned behavior, financial exploitation indicators. Neil's voice turned rough. Tyler. Tyler's eyes flashed. You two wanted this, don't act innocent. You were counting on Grandpa's money. Lisa's face crumpled. Tears spilled. Neil's jaw clenched. A line was crossed. A family script ripped open. The truth spilled out in pieces, ugly and real. Neil's hours had been cut. Debt had grown. Credit cards maxed. A second loan taken out. Tyler's investments had turned into losses. Tyler had chased them, needed more, always needed more. The bank holds and alerts had forced panic. The guardianship plan was the last shortcut. Not love, not concern, shortcuts. Mariah delivered the final statement, clean and clear. I would be leaving the house within 48 hours. A temporary apartment had been arranged. My mail and finances would be separated immediately. Any further attempt to interfere would trigger restraining orders. Tyler would not have contact with me unsupervised. If funds continued to disappear, law enforcement would be involved. Lisa sobbed quietly. Neil looked tired and furious at the same time. Tyler's face hardened into something colder. "Fine," he muttered. "Enjoy being alone." He stomped upstairs, door slamming a minute later. Maddie appeared at the hallway edge, eyes wide, taking in the wreckage without understanding all the words, understanding the feeling anyway. That afternoon, Mariah drove me to a short-term rental apartment. 1 bedroom, clean, quiet. A place with no family photos and no hidden hands. The first night, I slept 8 hours straight. The second night, I slept 9. My body had been bracing for months without realizing it. A week later, the police report became necessary. Not because I wanted revenge, because the decoy account triggered an alert. A login attempt, a transfer attempt. The credit union flagged it. Elena called my secure number. Calm voice, professional. The attempt originated from a device linked to Tyler's email address. That was enough. Mariah filed the report. The credit union provided logs. A detective interviewed me, a young man with tired eyes who had seen the same story in different houses. The process moved slower than movies make it seem. Paperwork, follow-up calls, evidence review, a formal warning. Then charges when the pattern became clear and Tyler's device held what it held. Tyler wasn't dragged out in handcuffs in a dramatic scene. He was confronted with consequences. His lawyer negotiated. His college situation changed. His life took a turn he didn't expect. Lisa pleaded for mercy. Neil wanted to cut Tyler off completely. Maddie stayed silent, watching adults fall apart. I stayed steady, because I had learned a lesson Carol never needed to learn. Being kind doesn't mean being available for theft. 3 months later, Lisa showed up at my apartment alone. Her eyes looked older, her hands fidgeted. No husband, no son. A quiet conversation followed. Not a dramatic one, a real one. Neil had moved out for a while. Therapy had started. Debt counseling appointments had begun. Tyler was in a structured program designed for compulsive behavior and financial impulse control. Not jail, not freedom. A middle path with supervision. Lisa wanted to know for nothing. No money, no rescue, just a chance to sit in the same room and not be hated. My anger had cooled into something else. Grief mixed with clarity. A boundary remained. A door remained. Not locked, just guarded. Time passed. The house on my old street in Indianapolis went on the market. I sold it. Not out of spite. Out of practicality. It held too much ghost. I moved to a smaller condo near the water in a town that felt calmer. A place where people nodded on sidewalks and didn't treat age like a defect. Mariah helped me set up a simple foundation with the remaining portion of Carol's life insurance and a portion of my assets. Not because I wanted to be a hero, because I wanted fewer people to be trapped by glowing rectangles and fake concern. The foundation was called Clear Keys, a hotline for seniors who felt their phones weren't theirs anymore. Workshops at libraries on basic security habits, partnerships with credit unions for in-person verification and fraud holds, emergency legal aid for coercion cases involving guardianship threats tied to financial access. The first call came on a rainy night at 2:10 a.m. A man in Kentucky. 78. Granddaughter helped with a phone. Bank alerts, password resets, confusion, fear, shame, the same shape, the same quiet theft. A volunteer at the hotline guided him to lock accounts and contact a local attorney. The credit union froze transfers. A welfare check confirmed he was safe. A small win, then another and another. The world didn't fix itself. It never does. But a few doors stayed open for people who would have been locked away. 1 year after the day Tyler set up my phone, Lisa visited again. This time, she brought Maddie. Maddie was 17 now, taller, eyes more focused. A kid growing into an adult who had seen the cost of pretending. Tyler wasn't there. He lived in another state, new job, court conditions, a life reorganized around consequences. He sent 1 email a month through a monitored account, short and stiff. No warmth, no apology that felt complete. A slow attempt at something resembling accountability. Lisa and Maddie sat at my small kitchen table. Coffee steamed. Silence held the room for a long moment. Maddie finally slid a small object across the table. A photo. Me and Carol at a county fair years ago, laughing, hair blown by wind. A memory frozen before the world turned digital and sharp. Maddie's voice was quiet. Grandma would have hated this. My throat tightened. She would have hated the stealing. She would have hated the pretending. Maddie nodded. She would have wanted you safe. The words landed like a hand on my shoulder. Lisa's eyes filled again. I failed. A slow breath in, a slow breath out. You got scared, I offered. Scared turns people into strangers. Lisa nodded. I'm trying to become myself again. A small silence, then another truth. I still loved my daughter. I didn't trust her house. Love and access are not the same thing. Maddie looked around my condo. The clean counters, the warm temperature, the calm. This feels normal, she spoke softly. Normal, the rarest luxury. I walked them to the door later. A hug from Lisa, gentle, careful. A quick hug from Maddie, awkward but real. The door closed softly. I stood by the window and watched their car leave. The river outside moved steadily, unbothered, honest. A thought settled in me with quiet certainty. The modern world isn't evil, it's just fast. And when something is fast, it rewards the people willing to cut corners. So the only defense is slow clarity, slow boundaries, slow truth. If someone ever offers to set things up for you, keep one rule. Help doesn't require secrecy. Help doesn't require control. Help doesn't make you smaller. And if the person offering help gets angry when you ask questions, the help was never the goal. The goal was the keys. 6 months after the police report, an envelope arrived at my post office box with Tyler's handwriting on it. No return address, no printed label, just ink and a shaky line. Inside was a single sheet of notebook paper and a cheap pen smear at the bottom where a hand had paused too long. An apology lived on the page, messy and incomplete, the way real apologies often are. No excuses about technology, no heroic story about helping, just ownership of harm and a line that mattered. The fear of losing control had felt stronger than love. A meeting happened 2 weeks later at a crowded diner off the highway, neutral ground, bright windows, other people nearby. Tyler looked smaller than he used to, not thinner, just less certain. No grin, no performance. A kid who had discovered consequences were heavier than he expected. The conversation stayed short. No forgiveness speeches, no dramatic reconciliation. A few boundaries were placed on the table like tools. No access to accounts. Ever. No phone help. Ever. No private visits until time proved behavior. Tyler nodded and accepted every line without bargaining. That acceptance was the only reason the meeting happened at all. When he left, he paused at the door and looked back once. I didn't steal money, he muttered. I stole time. I stole your peace. The words landed harder than numbers ever could. The next morning, I opened the Clear Keys inbox and found 3 new requests for help. Different states, same shape, different families. Same knife word, protect. The work continued. Not because I wanted to relive my story, but because too many people were living theirs in silence. A safe life in the modern world requires one simple truth. If someone needs your passwords, they don't need to help you, they need to control you.